First of all, I want to thank you for having me. My name is Jim Ronecker. I am a 37-year resident of Pinellas County. I graduated from Countryside High School, and I also graduated from St. Pete Junior College. I've been in Oldsmar politics as a Republican. I'm a Republican, and I've been in Oldsmar politics for the last 10 years. I recently served 6 years as mayor and was term limited, and in March of this year, I was reappointed to the seat to fill the seat for one of our council members that unfortunately passed away. So I'm currently sitting as a council member. Some of the things that I've done while in politics, well, I want to mention I'm also a manufacturer. I own a manufacturing company, a printing company called On Demand Printing. We've been in business since 1986. And something that appealed to me when I was looking at the candidates and the makeup of the current commission, I realized that there's 40,000 businesses in Pinellas County, of which there's about 390,000 people that are employed in the county, but there's not one business person that's making decisions on the commission right now, and I think that's something that's lacking, and that's why I've decided to put my hat in the ring. I have a history in Oldsmar of leading the effort during the worst economic times to lower our taxes twice, not once but twice, while just about every form of government was either looking to cut back or increase their taxes. And we didn't do that in Oldsmar. What we're able to do is we're able to complete the largest infrastructure project in our city's history, which is a reverse osmosis plant. It creates our own drinking water, potable water. And it was a $19 million plan. We got it fully funded, and something we're very proud of because that will give the city of Oldsmar resources to have water. I think water is going to be one of the biggest issues probably in the next 10 years. The city of Oldsmar has sustainable supply from now on, and they're not going to be in that situation. In addition to that, what we also did was we looked to go green, and we had several of our buildings. One of our oldest buildings was a 1918 bank that used to be our library. Well, we totally modernized that. We took it all out. We recycled probably 95% of the materials that were in the building. We totally modernized it. We created a council chambers and a chamber of commerce in addition to an historical society in that building. So we took one of the oldest properties in the building, totally modernized it, and it's probably the most energy efficient building in Pinellas County right now. It's another thing we're proud of. Another thing we looked to do was going green was to create an ASR project, which is an aquifer storage recovery unit. And what it is we take our treated water and we store it in a cavern underground. So we will have the ability to give every resident and business in Oldsmar the ability to have reclaimed water, which is something that's not being done a lot right now. In addition to that, one of the other things I'm proud of is we went to single stream recycling in Oldsmar for giving individuals containers that picked up once a week, and we've been able to increase our recycle business by about 80%, which is phenomenal. So we are giving back, and we're going green, and that's something I want to see happen in Pinellas County. You know, as a mayor for the last 6 years, I've noticed that the county didn't really get along well with the cities. They didn't reach out to the cities the way they should. I think there's some efforts that could be made for some consolidation of services between cities and county that can lower the tax base. I'm not one to raise taxes just to raise taxes, and I'm tired of seeing the can be kicked down the road, so to speak. I want to look for opportunities where we can lower our taxes, where we can better maintain our parks. I think we've got a big problem with our homeless residents. I think we need to reanalyze the way we're doing that. I know Safe Harbor is working, but it's just really a Band-Aid approach, and I think we need to get more serious on a lot of different efforts working with these nonprofits, where some cities like St. Louis and Salt Lake City in the last 3 years have totally wiped out their homeless population. I mean, it's just amazing what they've been able to do. And I think the county needs to get more on board on looking at those nonprofits and what their success is, and we need to do that here in the county. Again, as a manufacturer, you know, I've felt the pain over the last few years of making payroll, paying taxes, watching my employees struggle. You know, I realize that a lot of businesses and a lot of people here working are living paycheck to paycheck. And, you know, as a government, we've got to be able to make sure that when we're making decisions that we're affecting their pocketbook, and we've got to make sure that we hit their pocketbook as lightly as possible and give the best quality of services that we can. So I do think in the county there's a lot of consolidation that can be done to lower taxes. I know EMS is a big issue, And with EMS, I would like to see the fire departments be able to do advanced life transport, where they're taking somebody that's critically injured and automatically taking to the hospital rather than waiting for the ambulance to come, the way we're doing it now. I think we've got a great plan. We've got a Rolls Royce of a plan. But I do think there are some mechanisms in place that we can start saving some monies and lowering the cost of the services that are provided. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but
Not at all. No.
I don't really know what else to say. I really didn't know how we were going to do this morning, so I just came with an open mind and nothing prepared.
I'll
so.
tell you what, if you're ready to go, I will give you the
Sure.
same questions that everyone else gets, and then you will have time for a wrap-up if something comes to mind that you want to share.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
All right. What has motivated you to run for county commission?
What has motivated me is pretty much what I talked about in the beginning. I think there needs to be a business person's mentality on the commission. In addition to that, in my government experience, I've sat on a number of the county boards. I've sat on the Pinellas MPO twice. It's a position in Oldsmar, Safety Harbor, and Tarpon Springs that rotates. And I was fortunate enough to sit on it 2 years, sit on it 2 years and then have it rotated between Safety Harbor and Tarpon Springs for 4 years. And then I sat back on it for another 2 years. So I've been on that board 2 different times. I've been on the Pinellas Planning Council for 7 or 8 years. I chaired it in 2012. I've also sat on the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council. I've sat on the Agency of Bay Management. I've sat on, I'm a member of the Rotary and our Historical Society. So I've sat on a number of boards. I was the chairman of the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce. So I think that leadership experience sets me apart from some of the candidates that are in the race right now, just with my decade plus of proven positive results.
Okay. Where do you get your news? Daily?
I pretty much get my news either online. The Tampa Times is one thing. I go to Yahoo News. Verizon is my home page, so I have a Verizon page that always pops up, and also MSN is a place I look for news.
Okay. Which one of the current county commissioners best represents your values?
That's a good question. I would say it'd probably be a toss-up between John Maroney and Karen Seal. I've had the pleasure and an opportunity to work with both of them on a number of the boards that I've sat on, and I like what they do and what they represent.
Do you consider yourself a conservative, moderate, or progressive?
I would consider myself a conservative, extremely so when it comes to fiscal responsibility, maybe a little bit more liberal towards the people factor.
Okay. How do you feel about 8 is enough?
8 years enough? I am not in agreement with it. I believe that the voters are smart enough to know when they've got somebody of good quality in office that maybe should remain in office. I can give you an example. I think Tallahassee is broken right now because of term limits. I think it takes a year or two learning curve to know what you're doing up there. And it seems like the minute they get up there, the first thing they're doing is vying to become either the Speaker of the House or the Speaker of the Senate. And there's something lost in having the institutional knowledge to be able to make the right decisions rather than just worrying about getting elected every 2 years.
Okay. Do you support or oppose the passage of Green Light Pinellas referendum, and why?
I'm against the Green Light initiative. For the main reason is I have concern that it's not talked about a lot is none of the legislatures in Tallahassee or our legislatures here on the federal side are endorsing the plan. And it concerns me that it doesn't have more of a regional approach. And I think that's going to prohibit us from obtaining funding from the state and federal level.
Is that your only objection?
I'm also concerned about an 8-cent sales tax, making us the highest taxed county in the state of Florida. That concerns me. Also, as representative of North County as the seat I'm running for, I don't feel that the plan does enough for North County in the short term.
Okay. What's your opinion of the EMS options on the table? You kind of alluded to this. Do you want to?
EMS, again, is a tricky thing, but in my 10-plus years in government, I have never had a resident come up to me and say, we're spending too much on EMS. I think, God forbid you have to call 911. You want a service that's going to be there as quickly as possible because 10, 15 seconds could be saving someone's life or losing a loved one. And I don't know anybody that would want to lose a loved one over 10 seconds of time or a minute of time. So I am totally supportive of a robust system, kind of what we have now, but I do think there could be some consolidative efforts to probably decrease the expenses that we currently pay right now. And some of that is the, advanced life support transportation, or just letting the ambulance service do the basic life support and not have the firefighter show up every single time. I think there could be savings that way.
The Pinellas County Commission is the only county commission in the United States to apply for and receive a Navigator grant for $600,000 just a few months ago to enroll in the Affordable Care Act. What's your position on that?
I wasn't aware that Pinellas County was the only one that applied for that, but, I think any time that you can get grants, it's a positive, especially on the federal government side. But as far as the Affordable Care Act, I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of Obamacare. I would like to see everybody be taken care of as far as health care goes, but not a big fan of the plan.
Okay. What new policy or policies would you champion if elected to the board?
Well, some of the policies that I want to do right away is I would like to do better at reaching out to businesses. Something we did in Oldsmar was called We Mean Business, and that was the last Friday of each month. We went and visited 3 businesses, myself, the city manager, and the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce chairman. And we would go and we'd visit them and we'd listen to them. We weren't selling them anything or anything. We just wanted to know what was making them successful, what was hampering them in their business. And I think that needs to be done on the county level. Like I said, there's 40,000 businesses, and not really much is being done to reach out to them. And the businesses are what pays the freight here in the county. It's not so much the property taxes of the individual homeowner. It's the businesses that pay the freight. So the better we can reinvest in them and have them continue to grow, sustain their businesses, and bring in new businesses, we're that much ahead of the game. So one of those, that's probably the first area I'd like to see us do, is more of economic development kind of stuff. And another area is just trying to consolidate with the individual cities, reaching out to the cities and seeing what common services. I mean, it could be as simple as somebody cutting the grass medians that the county is outsourcing right now, where the city could have the ability to do that themselves.
Okay. Would you support the subcontracting of some or all of PSTA transit service?
I think I would. I think that Senator LaBella was on the right track when he was trying to merge HART and PSTA together. I think a regional approach is 100% better than the piecemeal approaches we're trying to take right now. It would be, I think, a lot easier for somebody to know that they're getting on one bus and they can go to Tampa Airport from St. Petersburg or from Clearwater or wherever it may be, than it is getting on a PSTA and then onto a HART line and not knowing where to go or how to go, or having it even take as much as 2 hours to get there.
Okay, so those are our 10 questions. Now, you have a few minutes to kind of wrap up and give us your next.
All right, well, again, I want
Tell
to
us what
thank
you
you for the
think.
opportunity. I appreciate the questions that you asked. I do feel that I'm a viable candidate. I've got the experience that I listed. I have a proven track record of positive results, and I am probably one of the only ones in the race that can say I've lowered taxes twice during the worst economic times that we've ever seen. There's not many people that can say that. It's something I'm very proud of, and something I championed very hard for my council to do that, because I knew that the residents were hurting. I see my employees hurting on a daily basis. My business struggles, as many businesses do here in Pinellas County, and I do think leadership needs to change where we have more of a business perspective. And that's about all I got to say.
Okay.
Hopefully I didn't ramble too much.
No, you're great.